I was just doing the hoovering there, and I had a thought while rambling away, and I will forget about it, so I just stopped doing the hoovering to make this video very quickly. I'm going to talk about drug dealers very quickly, and they're not the drug dealers you think about. I'm talking about your government, who they're really, 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 really good drug dealers. I'm going to briefly talk about my experience with methadone, and I'm going to talk about my experience with psychiatric people in their world. So. Um, I was on heroin every day. I was very naive. I did not know how to properly. You don't take heroin. I'll actually, if you want some advice on how to take heroin, don't take heroin. I was living in a ditch for 2 years, and you go onto a methadone basically. So it's a substitute, and it's a little sickly goo, green goo that you have once a day, instead of taking heroin every day, because you're a class A criminal basically if you're addicted to heroin every day. So it's a really bad pressure to be under, because in the situation drugs are illegal and you're to blame on the situation. You, the victim, is to blame. So if you are really big in the heroin scene, you might realize this lad is going to be buying heroin from me for the rest of his life, and that's going to be €20 every day. That's a lot of money every day for the rest of his life. So say if this guy, well, he's a heroin addict, so he doesn't really have a long lifespan, but if he lived for 50 years, that's 50 times 360 times 20. And that's a lot of money to make off one person after heroin addiction. Now, the government know about this because the government are better drug dealers than you. And they can think that, well, a lifetime subscription to methadone is going to be a lifelong, like they get paid per milliliter. So when I was on the methadone, I was trying to get away from everything. I wanted no more. Wasn't on heroin and methadone at the same time. Like, no more of this. I want to get away from methadone. But they kept throwing more at me, pushing more and more at me. And I was wondering, like, why? It's like, do you want any more? Do you want to will we up the dosage? All the time, it's like, no, I want to down the dosage. I'm trying to get away from this. But all the time, pushing more on me. And they have so many patients. They have too many patients they don't even know what to deal with, because they want more money, more patients. They get paid per milliliter that they dispense. Just like a drug dealer gets paid, but they get paid by the government. There's more money involved when it's like legitimate drug dealing. So they push and push and push you because they want your lifetime subscription. When I was trying to get away from it, they want you addicted for the entire life, because that's going to be whatever. You live very long on an opiate methadone, I'd imagine. You don't know the kind of sickness or pains you're probably in. But again, that's a lot of money. I don't know how much they get paid per milliliter. It could be 10, I don't know, €8 per milliliter, and they're trying to push hundreds of this stuff on you. Hundreds. And again, it's very, very, very addictive stuff. Destroys your body, destroys your bone marrow. But they don't care. They want you addicted to it so they can get a lifetime. And that's a lot of lifetimes. So like, again, you can say like €20 every day, and it's not even, it's going to be more than €20, because I know people that get hundreds and hundreds of mils, and I was down on 30. So again, it could be something like €20 a day, every day for the rest of their lives, and that's not even 20 years. That's going to be a lot, long time. So that's a lot of money. So this is called drug pushing, and they're pushing on you because they want to make the money. Now, psychiatric wards are no different. They get paid per pill they dispense. Every pill they dispense in psychiatric units. And there's this thing called the Mental Health Act, which is wonderful, wonderful. If you're a drug dealer, you would love this kind of thing. They can legally force you onto any drug they want to. Not even drug pushing. They can tie you down onto a bed and stick a needle in you. Like they will. Under the Mental Health Act, they're entirely allowed. And this drug could break you. It could be one of this offset drugs. So in the psychiatric business, there's these kind of drugs that break you at first, and then they give you a lifetime subscription to fixing it, kind of. So they broke me, and I got away from the aftercare. I got away from them because I was their lifetime. Then they get probably paid a lot more than the methadone clinics do, but they get paid for every pill they dispense. So they're always trying to push. They're pushing a routine on you, and this psychiatric. But I know there was a girl. I don't mean to talk about anybody's personal business. She was a large girl, and when she's in a psychiatric thing, and man, they were pouring cups full of pills, because she probably thought, like, because I'm a big girl, that maybe I need a bigger dosage, and they had no bother letting her. They weighed it. They put a cup down and they let her pour out the pills and weigh it herself, just to make sure that she was doing it herself. She was self-administering because it was probably too much for her to take, and they don't mind. They get paid €10 per pill. That they probably even more, and they want you to, they break you first, and then they want you to stick you on these lifetime medications. Haloperidol is the one that I'm talking about. I want to talk about. This is an atypical. It's now considered atypical, first generation and outdated psychiatric treatment for I don't know, psychosis, whatever psychosis is. Everybody's a little weird, aren't they? My uncle said this to me very plainly after my first experience in Newcastle after a suicide attempt. and they like they brought me in. It was a suicide attempt, and they determined that I had a psychotic illness, and probably I can't remember what they said. They had said I had a psychotic illness and I needed medication. It was a suicide attempt. I wasn't insane, but again, they want to prove that you're insane. They're trying their best, and this is why you kind of wonder when you're in these places, why are you trying to push this on me? Why are you trying to really say that I'm insane? It's like is your professional opinions at stake? And it's like, would you not be a little more prudent regarding your professional opinion than just calling everybody batshit insane? Like I'd imagine, like psychiatric illnesses are actually kind of very rare or common compared to the amount of people out there that are being treated for psychiatric cares or illnesses, as they say. I was fine before I ever went into these places, and the haloperidol broke my mind, broke my heart, broke my spirit, broke my memory, and left me tone deaf. And I got away from the aftercare. So they'll probably say, "Oh well, if you're not taking the aftercare," I was like, "You broke me in the first place, man. And you broke me just like somebody gives you too much heroin, they break you in the first place, so then you can get a lifetime subscription. They broke me in the first place, so they get a lifetime subscription out of me." This is the part that I wanted to talk about. Was why the hell? And I noticed this because I talk around and see some people from the hospital, and I talk about like openly about the haloperidol crap or paraperidol, whatever it was, and they say, "Oh yeah, I'm on that too, monthly injection." And I just wondered, why is it so popular if it's an atypical, outdated, first generation medication? And this is what I realized when I was doing the hoovering, because I'm very clever. Busy hands are great for thinking. You know what I mean? If you ever writing an essay or something, or you're trying to work on something, just scrub the floor, man. Get the cleaning, cut the grass. Yeah, busy hands will give you fruitful reward. I'm sure the poetry at the moment. I'm not trying to get them from winter. Yeah, but just letting you doesn't do things. So yeah, that's what I realized. Why is this outdated, crappy medication being used? If you have the leading brand in, say, a psychiatric care pill, you're Mister, Pharma, Big Pharma. You're going to want to own the pills that are being sold for these lifetime subscriptions, things like risperidone or haloperidol or what's that other one? Olanzapine, or is it olanzapine? I can't remember what their names are. I don't want to forget about these things, but they want to own those because they're the flagship drugs. They're the go-to, noted, the best, the best. So they have a big monopoly over this. Again, lifetime, hundreds and thousands of lives and lifetime subscriptions. They want to be the ones selling this drug. So if you think about it, there's always going to be up and coming little entrepreneurial psychiatric doctors, and that want their drug to become the mainline drug. They want to change the course of history. And it's like, oh, we were doing risperidone for 20 years, but our research has shown that my new drug is much more effective. So they're destroying people's lives, testing outdated drugs, trying to bring, maybe there was haloperidol for a while back there, and maybe they're saying, oh, times change and people change, and sometimes we need to revert back to old medicines again. So they just want to steal the staple flagship drug and bring in something else, which was denounced by some department, and they're trying to re-announce it and get loads of money and become the staple flagship, because then they'll own it. They'll have the rights over that drug. So if you consider this in terms to illegal drugs, cocaine is illegal. So then people go out and start making synthetic cocaine. And this is where methadone and fentanyl come from. People don't like taking methadone. It's not fun. You can't sit down and have a cup of tea and have a smoke. Or you just drink a cup of goo and that's it. And people actually just want to just sit down and still have a smoke. So that's actually, I think, what fentanyl is. It's a smokable methadone. And so people could actually get away from heroin and still have something to smoke to keep them alive, basically. So they go out and they invent synthetic drugs like fentanyl. And the more they do this, the more they get banned. And the more they get banned, the more weirder the drugs become and the more dangerous the drugs become, to the point that we had all those bath salts. Remember the whole epidemic bath salts and everybody taking those crappy synthetic legal highs? Because they keep on. And this is the same thing that's happening legally in the psychiatric world, that they're legally making crapper and crapper and crapper or newer, or going back to outdated medicines and therapies, and using their research to prove that these are far more effective in the times that we're in because there's been a slight apparent change. And they just want the flagship drug, and they want to change the course and change it to make it, this is the new go-to drug, and we own it, by the way. We're not the other company that owned olanzapine or risperidone. We're putting them out of business, and you again are their test monkeys for this entire thing. So they're going to be destroying lots of you, giving you drugs you really don't need because they just want their staple drug to be the best drug that's out there. So Big Pharma, he's broke me. Ha ha he, ha ha ha. Yeah, so just stay away from those places. There's a girl that was in there, and she had visions, really interesting visions, and she could see through shit and stuff. And she proved it once or twice. Like she did prove it, and she was telling me about some of her experiences and all. Seeing like labels on certain bottles, rearranging and doing weird things and making suggestions about the company. And she was weird. It's cool the way she said it. Just talking about it was like mind-boggling. But she probably just told this to her doctor, her GP in confidence, like, and not even kind of just saying it, but like, I think I have superpowers. I just have weird visions where it's like, and it's like, oh, we better refer you to the psychiatric department. Referred to the psychiatric department. They have a few little gentle, little conversations, and this girl that was in there, my friend Mary, also got the haloperidol, and she was lovely, absolutely lovely, mature, very intelligent, very very bright. Had a kid at home waiting for her, and also got the haloperidol. And I noticed after I got the haloperidol, I'd survived the police trying to crucify me basically. And when I survived, everybody was just running up to me the second time, like, brother, and hugging me and stuff. And everybody was like, whatever happened, like I was just like very, very approachable. Everybody was loving me and hugging me, and we're all speaking in tongues and stuff. It was really weird. Um, and then they gave me the haloperidol after I dodged it a few times, but they finally got it into me. And everybody just disappeared. I was floating around like a ghost. You had this weird smirk on your face you can't get rid of. And I actually think it turns you into a ditto. It turns you into a ditto. You kind of turn into the people that are around you. So when you're talking to the psychiatric nuts, they see themselves, and because they love themselves so much, like, wow, you really look great. I've never seen you looking so good. It's like, yeah, genius, have fucking turned me into a ditto, and you're looking at yourself. But again, this lady was very, very lovely, very friendly, very good conversationalist, and then turned into an absolute zombie for about a week or so, floating around the corridors, and no one noticed her. That's what I'm saying. She just disappeared. It was like she was completely cut off. I knew what was happening to her, and I didn't even want to speak to her. It was like she was broken, or ew, don't touch it, or something. And so yeah, this is what these things. Again, this girl just went in for a polite conversation about some interesting experiences she was having, in these times that we're in, and boom, now she's broken, and for life, and will probably need to follow on medication for the rest of her life. And they keep trying to drag you back in over that as well if you try to get away from it. Like, I'm very, very lucky to have gotten away with it. It's very, very difficult to get away from them. The police will pull you in and bring you back in. Imagine that, being a drug dealer. And it's like, you get the police to go around and say, he's not buying coke off me anymore. Go around there and arrest him and bring him into my office. Sit him down here. Now. Why aren't you buying cocaine off me? Under the Mental Health Act, I'm going to get you addicted to heroin now as well. Now, sit there, smoke here, 3 days. And now, under the Mental Health Act, I can force drugs on you and get drag you back in here to make sure you're taking my drugs. You know what I mean? Government drug dealing, boys and girls. Now, you really want to get in with the government, you can have the police go around there and drag them in for you and make sure that they're coming around on a monthly basis to get their fucking whatever it is. See? Money, 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 money. You're to blame. You're a subject. You're a test rat. And they're all stinking rich. Unlike real drug dealers that really aren't rich at all. Real drug dealers don't really deal for money. They just have lots of friends. It actually is. That's where drug dealing comes from. I've said this before. Actually, drug dealers aren't bad people. They're usually very friendly and popular people. Friendly, reliable, dependable. Like, if you're a thief and a liar, you won't make it far dealing drugs. You'll be killed by the people that take the drugs or something like that. So they actually usually are very friendly, very competent, very honest, and very hardworking people, and very popular people because they're friendly. And that's why they become drug dealers, because they know so many people that take so many drugs. And it's like, oh, I may as well. It starts with, I'm sorting out my friend. I'm just getting something. Do you want to jump in on this? And then before long, it's everybody's jumping in on one, and you're just the guy that makes a call, or the guy or girl that makes a call, because you're the dependable and most reliable one, or something. So yeah, they're actually very opposite to like thieving, rotten, bad, dirty people that you consider them probably to be, because they wouldn't survive very long in that world. Unlike your doctors and the psychiatric nuts that have absolute devoid, senseless monsters. And yeah, a lot of those creeps just kind of really just pour some salt on this wound. A lot of those creeps in the psychiatric unit, are weird BDSM. They love dominating people. I just want to let you know, I looked into a few of them, and they're all into weird BDSM, and they like keeping people, and studying them like objects, and controlling their fate and destiny. And there's a technique they'll use to try and piss you off. Lots. like in these places that are supposed to be for like asylum and respite. They poke you and push you and test you loads. The security guard charged at me twice just to see if I'd react and kind of like defend myself. Charged at me twice. So they'll push you loads despite they're supposed to be a sensitive and caring place. And they'll do things like, well, we were going to let you go today, but now we're going to keep you for another 2 months and triple your medication. And smirk and just to see your reaction because they're testing for a reaction. But again, minds and emotions are very gentle and sensitive things. But they will just test it, poke you to see how you react to certain situations and certain scenarios because they are testing you again. And then when you do flip out, it's like, how could you do it? You can't do this. They just sit there grinning. They love it. They just start smiling at it. And then it's happened so many times with these nut jobs. Yeah, and as well, if you're a drug dealer, you want people taking drugs. If you're like in a psychiatric care, like you want people crazy and insane. A lot of these people are actually witches as well. No, this sounds like I'm getting very exaggerated, but I see and hear most of profanities in this world, and yeah, a lot of those gypsies are screwing up your heads in the first place, messing you up on purpose so they can get more people to drag them in, and any good reason to drag you in and get you on the drug. And that's why they want you on the drugs when they get you in there. I give so many people in Newcastle Hospital life-changing supportive advice based on the premises of why they were in there. This guy and his brother was trying to kill him, and he was gone insane with the tension and the panic. And I just said it to him. I was like, he's your bigger brother. And I was like, well, you're just gonna have to concede to him a bit. He's like, man, you're my bigger brother. You're supposed to kind of look out for me. I know, like, he's the little brother that was kind of saying, I'll kill you, I'll kick the shit out of you. I was like, you'll piss off an older brother trying to try and you'll never catch up on him. He's always going to be your big brother. You just kind of have to concede to him and say, look, man, you're my big brother. And it made a world of difference. He completely lost the weight on his shoulders. And he was like, yeah, I do have to just say that just a minute. He's my big brother. You always kick the shit out of me just because we're getting to the same size now. I still have to respect the fact you're my big brother. And you're supposed to kick the shit out of people to protect me more. So loads of those events things. There's a girl there that was wearing all her grandmother's clothes. Her grandmother passed away, and she was wearing all her clothes and stuff. And she kept having these freak out like she was possessed, and ranting like an old lady, an old lady that didn't say enough when she was alive and still had lots of things to say. And I was like, you maybe ought to stop wearing your granny's clothes. And none of these like things that I did to help people. Loads and loads. There was girls that were abused. There was people there that had, they were suicidal. There was so many people that I helped just by conversation, just by talking to them and not sticking needles in them. So it's not a primary solution anyway. It really ought to be a very last solution. Final, not final, careful what I say there. Be a very, yeah, it usually should be the last thing you go to, but it's the first thing they go to is to stick drugs in you. And a few drugs at that, they want you on 2 or 3 drugs at the same time. So there'll be a breaker and a fixer. And there'll be an upper and a downer, and then we're trying to balance you out. And it's like they're just balancing their fucking checkbooks. And I had to get back to the hoovering. Don't take drugs, unless they're no. That's the problem with psychiatric unit. You might not have to pay too much for your subscriptions. I don't know. I always got away from the medication. You probably do have to pay a tiny amount of service charge or something. But again, there's lots of money cycling around behind the scenes. All taxpayer money as well. Yeah, as well, taxpayer. Where does this money come from? Because they're government departments. And just look into the Mental Health Act as well, just in case you're wondering about human rights, and people are being allowed to hold you down and stick needles in you. Because I think virtually, like one day, not to be weird or anything, but virtually, I ought to be allowed to abduct these people, torture these people, terrify them with potential disembowelment, re-abduct these people, take them off to a facility of semi-private facility and stick loads of needles in them. Yep. And then label them a criminal. I had to, because that's exactly what happened to me, and that's government approved, so there's no reason really why I can't do the same. If that's the government, I have to be able to follow example. I have to be able to abduct people, drag them off, torture them, and then stick arcane medicines in them until their brains are broken, and then label them criminal. I didn't even know. I found it recently. I'm actually criminally insane after what happened. Because it was a criminal sectioning. The police dragged me in after trying to torture me, murder me, and disembowel me. And now I'm a criminal. I didn't even know. I'm criminally insane. Which is kind of cool, It's the same about Hannibal Lecter. Criminally insane, Clarice. So anyway, below me. Okay. Oh no, the Hoover, sorry. No,